Welcome to the Sailor Noob podcast, where a super fan and a noob talk about the original Sailor Moon, episode by episode. I'm your host, Mikanhana, joined by my co-host.
I'm the noob. I'm Ka1iban.
And we are a couple of magical people ready to Moon Prism Power Makeup this episode.
Well, we're not going to... Yeah, we're going to make it up, I guess.
Sailor Noob is a part of the Just Enough Trope network. So I thought... to begin our very, very first episode of Sailor Noob, we could talk a little bit about our background and our experience with Sailor Moon and what we are doing on this for this podcast.
What are we doing on this podcast?
We're figuring it out as we go.
I'm just a noob.
Well, I guess I'll start. I'm pretty sure what at first caught my attention with Sailor Moon was actually the art. I'm not 100% sure if it was the manga or the anime that I saw first, the art of, but I actually was really taken with it, and I saw a t-shirt, I believe it was at a thrift store called Ragstock, and I loved it so much that without seeing the anime, sight unseen, or reading the manga, I bought the shirt.
So, this is like a totally sartorial introduction.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So... I had a lot of friends that were like talking about it, and I was like, ooh, I want to learn more. How do I get my hands on this, you know? And I had a friend, we'll just call her my anime guru. She was like, oh, well, I can hook you up. She had taped episodes of it off of her TV. And so I got to see Sailor Moon for the very first time, and I was instantly hooked. You know, there's just something about it that it's, you know, surprisingly funny, I think.
It was on TV? Where? It was on TV?
It was on US TV, but it was like not really, and it was not at great times. So I'm not exactly sure how she
I used to watch Robotech.
Sure.
And it must have been on at some reasonable time to get me hooked in the first place.
Yeah.
But then once I wanted to see it, and this is just, I mean, if anybody's familiar with Robotech, maybe this is another show. It was mostly just like the first part of it, like the stuff, the Macross stuff.
Sure.
But it was on at like 6:30 a.m.
Yeah.
So it was like I would roll out of bed, you know, and get ready for school and then catch it. And I remember watching it in my parents' bedroom. And here's why. Because they had a small TV, like a 13-inch in their bedroom, and it sat next to the window. And the window could look out onto the road where I would catch the bus. And so you'd think, okay, great. If you see the bus. No. If I see the bus, it's already too late. Because the bus goes up this, and the stop for the bus is at the top of the hill. So I would look out the window just to make sure that I wasn't screwed. And if I saw the bus, I was screwed. And so whatever Rick Hunter was up to, usually I'd have to drop out, you know, a couple minutes early in order to get out in front of that bus and run up that hill.
Sure. Yeah. So I found it in my notes. So it was on US TV at like really bad time slots. Like it originally aired at like 9 a.m. and 2 p.m., which like is prime time for kids to be in school, so they're not going to be watching it.
And it had to be like on a UHF, if anybody knows what that is, but like syndicated.
Yeah, it didn't list the article I was looking at didn't list where it was airing.
It wouldn't have been
originally.
On a major network. Yeah.
No, I mean
high on the dial.
Right. Much later, it would air on Cartoon Network and Toonami, but that was a couple years later. Yeah. So, you know, my guru just kind of like hooked me up with anime, and also through Sailor Moon, I kind of saw like different elements of Japanese culture, and that really got me interested in learning more about Japanese culture and their language, you know, food. You name it. And I was super fortunate that...
Talking cats.
Yeah, I know. I would have loved to have met a talking cat. That would have been awesome. But I was really fortunate in that my high school had a sister school in Japan. And so I was able to participate in that program. We hosted exchange students. And then me and my sister actually went over there in high school. So that was a really, really cool experience. So I can say that this show has changed my life in a lot of different ways. And I owe my love to Japan and Japanese culture to Sailor Moon.
And Fox Kids. Or wherever it was on.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I did buy some of the Deke VHS tapes as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting. I was reading, and this makes more sense to me. Like, Deke, took out some of the episodes when they were, So the second episode of the series, which we watched and we'll talk about next time, I actually had never seen before.
Interesting.
Because they made the third episode
I would
the second
say save
episode.
it. Yeah. Save that for the second episode for sure. I have absolutely no experience with Sailor Moon at all, fitting for a show called Sailor Noob.
Yes.
I don't know anything about it. I know it's a girls show, which maybe we'll challenge that as we go forward. I'm familiar with the idea of a henshin show, which means transforming or transformation, I think, in Japanese.
Okay, sure.
So Kamen Rider and Super Sentai leading to Power Rangers, where the character is a teenager, usually a high school student, and then yells out something and turns into, after a 90-second long sequence that we use every time to save on animation, then becomes the hero and then runs off and does something. But I just never had any. I was at a point when I became aware of it. I was at a point beyond the point where I would have been interested in something that was ostensibly marketed to girls.
Yeah.
When I was younger, what's going on with Strawberry Shortcake? This seems pretty interesting. We got a lot of different aspects to this. You got a blueberry girl, and you got the purple pie man from Porcupine Peak. And but no, by the time the early 90s came around, not interested in that. Also not. This is like I said, Robotech before, which would have been even earlier. I got really into Dragon Ball.
Sure, yeah.
In the mid 90s, before the Toonami era, just because I had a friend, my anime guru, if you will, who was a comic book artist and was going to school on the East Coast and running into a lot of not only nerdy people, but actually Asian people coming from Japan and such to also study things, and having friends and family members there getting sent VHS tapes. And then going to kids today have no idea. They got their Toonamis, they got their on-demands or whatever. But going to cons and going to the tables just stacked with VHS tapes, Shaolin Soccer, bootlegs, dubs of all this stuff. And you'd go and just try to get just basically taped off a TV. Lots of Glico commercials, and Bandai this, and just Pachinko that. Oftentimes, I think that normally you would, if you're trying to be professional, you'd try to eliminate those commercials, but they become kind of part of the experience of watching foreign TV.
Yeah. So
just seeing years and years and seasons of Dragon Ball, and thinking. Well, Sailor Moon, it's not for me.
Well, I get it. I never really got into Dragon Ball myself.
Right, but see, this is the show, is a meeting of the various minds, sexes, and characters. But as I became older, realizing, wait a minute, it's the exact same thing.
It really is in a lot of ways.
It's an epic story featuring characters who are growing. They're fighting villains every week. Slightly different structure, but it's basically why I agreed to do this.
Fair. So without further ado, let's get into it. Today's episode, we are talking about episode number 1. The title in Japanese is Nakimushi Usagi no Kare Naru Henshin. In Japanese, the English translation of that is Crybaby Usagi Beautiful Transformation. Mm-hmm. And the English title, this is probably off of the original Deke dub, is A Moon Star is Born.
Okay.
So, yeah, they already are
What's
making changes.
What's that little girl thinking? The little girl who says Dick.
I know. I know.
Let's get... they couldn't get Don LaFontaine to say Dick. But instead, it's a little girl that says Dick.
I know.
Dick, whatever. Yeah, immediately I was struck in the opening that we're missing a couple sailors here. I was promised sailors.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I know this episode is called Usagi, the main character.
Right.
But yeah, where are the other sailors?
Well,
well, you don't have to give it all away.
I won't give it away, but
because I don't know.
Basically, we will be discovering them as the season goes on.
Okay.
So, without spoiling it, that's more or less what it is.
Can you, with your knowledge of Japan, such as it is, explain why the theme song sounds the way it does? You know what I mean?
Why there's some random words in English?
No, it has a sort of minor key Italian song is what I wrote down, you know?
Okay.
It's got like a sort of syncopation to it. It's very European sounding. Does that connect to the sort of romantic sort of setting or tone of the series?
You know,
because you get that later on whenever Tuxedo Mask shows up. It has this sort of like, or even when
like
Smug Guy shows up, it's like a sort of tango-esque kind of feel to the music.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm right.
Well, I hadn't really thought about it before, but it is, when Tuxedo Mask is around, it is very Italian sounding.
That's got an opera cape.
I mean, I think maybe you're onto something, because it is a by and large, it does have a very romantic arc to it as well.
Moonlight.
Yes, Midnight.
Right.
Yes. I personally love the random English. I think it's pretty great.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of the translation of the Japanese into English is pretty great. Like, my heart is a kaleidoscope. My feelings are about to short circuit. That's a pretty good one too.
Right.
And of course, when they dubbed it, they just wrote a completely new song.
Well, of course.
And I like that song too. I mean, it's fun in a different way. It gets you jazzed. It gets you like upbeat.
We should point out that we are watching the subs of this,
yes,
not the dubs.
The original Japanese with the subtitles.
Yes.
And we are not watching Sailor Moon Crystal. We are watching the original.
Give it time.
You think maybe?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We have all kinds of letters to get through, which I'll ask you to explain to me some other time.
Okay. I'll try to do my best to answer that. Do we want to go like? Well, do like an act breakdown, or just do you want to describe the episode?
I'm the noob.
Okay.
Yes. Usagi is a 14-year-old high school student. She's kind of clumsy. That's about it.
Usagi means rabbit.
And her hair she's got two sort of pigtails.
But that's why her hair is like that.
Okay, anyway.
At least that was the creators, the idea behind that.
But as far as I know, as far as we're starting off here, she is your typical sort of hapless protagonist.
Yeah.
I think that it's got to be like and of course we know that it seems like she's a normal person, and then, whoa, what's going on? But that's every show. We're starring a high school kid, something shows up and what's going on. And as a character, it seems like this is something else I think you get in a lot of Japanese things. Like, I wouldn't call her a rebel, but she definitely doesn't fit into what you'd think of as the perfect, Japanese student.
Yeah, no, she's definitely flawed in a lot of ways.
You're supposed to be industrious, you're supposed to be on time, and she's none of these things. And you're supposed to have decorum and self-control, and she has none of these things.
and she loves to eat too.
We're immediately painting that kind of character. Mm-hmm. And so she's wakes up on a normal day, she's late for school. On her way to school, she sees a bunch of kids messing with a cat. Mm-hmm. Saying, "Hey cat, bark." Like, wow, these assholes.
Yeah, I know,
the
right?
worst. And the cat's got some Band-Aids on its head, so she scares these kids off, and she takes the Band-Aids off the cat's head, and the cat has a moon shape, like a crescent moon on its forehead.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, but got to keep moving.
Right.
And so she ends up at school, gets in trouble, has to go to the principal's office, which I'm feeling is going to be a running theme throughout at least this first season. And from there, she meets up with her friend, Naru.
Yes.
I think is her name.
Naru is her name.
And another friend name of Umino.
Yes.
Who is like your stereotypical, also hapless boy student.
Except he's actually good at school.
Well, he's good at school, and he's like, I didn't try hard this time. I only got a 95.
I know. You want to punch him right away.
He's into Usagi, but nothing really comes out of that in this episode. Naru tells Usagi that her mom's jewelry store is having a sale, and so they got to get over there because they love jewelry because they're girls, of course.
Right.
Which we can get into this later as the show goes on, but I'm hoping that the show will land on it's okay to be a girl and like girly things.
Sure.
And it doesn't have to define you necessarily. But
right.
Man, these chicks love jewelry. So they, I mean, like, I guess we are going act by act. Long story short, they end up at the jewelry store and everybody's going crazy for the jewelry. But then we find out that something sinister is going on.
Yes.
And her mom, Naru's mom, is not actually her mom.
Yeah.
It's a monster in disguise.
Her name is Morga.
Called Morga.
Yeah.
Which is like a Morgan Le Fay reference.
That is a good question.
There's a lot. You see this in Dragon Ball too a lot. Like a lot of the naming is significant.
Yes.
Probably to save time, but also because I think they like their significance. So right. I don't know what Naru means. That'd be something to look up.
Yeah.
But, but Morga, and then we cut to underground or something. We go somewhere else, and we see.
Oh yeah, we don't know where it is.
Because we find out that this jewelry is like draining the energy of these people, of these women in the store, and the energy is being collected by a blonde-haired guy in a uniform.
His name is Jadeite.
Jadeite, yes, which is a gemstone.
Yes, all of the main bad guys are named after gemstones, at least in this first season.
Which I'm figuring out on my own, but you just told me. And he seems to be taking orders from a woman named Beryl, who's sitting on like a throne, and she's going like, with her hand. She's looking at like a globe or something like that. She's checking something out. They're talking about how they need to get this energy for somebody. I don't know if it's Beryl or the Master or somebody like that.
Right.
So anyway, Usagi goes home, fights with her brother. She gets in trouble with her mom because her grades are bad. And she's locked out of her house, which is resolved off camera. She's back inside of her house. She's like, it's really bad. I got to study. But I think a nap is probably what's called for here. She takes a nap, and the cat appears in her room, and the cat can talk.
Yes.
The cat introduces itself as Luna and tells her that she's been chosen for something. And of course, Usagi wants none of it. And she's like, you're not dreaming. I'm a real talking cat. She's like, no, I'm sleeping. And Luna she does a flip and creates like a piece of jewelry, like a brooch or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so she gives her the brooch and then tells her that she's, like I said, she's chosen for something, which is strange.
Yeah.
But I mean, we got to get this show going, though.
Well, right. Like you gotta fight evil and become Sailor Moon.
Yeah. And it's like, like we said before, it's like a henshin thing. Like it's very Japanese, but there's a lot of like American things that do this too. Like Captain Marvel.
Sure.
Both, Carol Danvers, but also like a male version of Captain Marvel does the sort of switcheroo type thing. Or the kid with remember the Thing TV show from the 70s?
No, I do not.
They turned the Thing, the ever-loving blue-eyed Thing, Benjamin Grimm, into a cartoon show, but it had nothing to do with the Fantastic Four.
Weird.
It was just a kid who said, ring, thing, do your thing, or whatever. He had a ring, and he turned into a creature like the Thing.
Oh. Interesting.
Or Captain Marvel, of course, the DC Captain Marvel as well.
Shazam, yeah.
Yeah, well, Shazam now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
or like He-Man or She-Ra, the other examples of that.
Right, yeah. And so I don't speak Japanese, but I've watched anime for my entire life, so there's certain sort of words and things that you get. And the cat calls her Senshi several times, which is like warrior, right?
Yeah, warrior, soldier, yeah.
Hero, warrior.
Warrior hero.
Yeah. So she tells her to say Moon Power Makeup.
Prism Makeup.
Makeup, yeah. And so she transforms. And I love when she transforms. It's cool, but it doesn't mean that like she's now a hero. Like it isn't like a
personality change.
Like a Captain Marvel, like early Captain Marvel in the 70s when she was when she was Captain Marvel, but she was just newspaper editor and former
Right.
Air Force colonel, immediately she's like, "Whoa, what is this?
what am I wearing?
What is this now? Yeah, what's going on?" But she's got so we talk about the tiara. We'll get there.
Yes.
We talk about the other thing. What are the hair things? The hair things are very useful because immediately she can pick up.
Yeah.
She it's like a radio. She can pick up that Naru's in trouble somewhere, and she's got to get over there.
She hears it.
Yeah, she picks it up on her hair gems.
Hair gems. Yeah, I don't know if that is ever explained. Actually, honestly, except at Minions.
That's hearing that from you. Bad. Yeah, so she runs over to the store, the jewelry store, and bad news. Morga's got Naru by the throat.
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, stop killing me."
Yeah.
"Mom, why?" And she's like, I'm not your mother. Well, yeah, clearly. And she transforms into a horrible monster.
Yes. She's terrifying, and her neck's like practically turning around.
Yeah, she can turn her head around like an owl.
Yeah.
Which
really
is really
creepy.
Which is really strange. And Usagi busts in to fight her. And there's, again, I don't know like anything in the show going forward, but there seems to be things that she intuitively understands, and then there's things that she needs to be told to do.
Right.
So she comes in, and I thought this was interesting. Like Morga, whoever these people are that serve the gem people, they don't know who Sailor Moon is. They don't. This is not some power that they've been fighting or whatever. This is totally new because she's like, "Sailor Moon, who's that?"
Yes.
She's like, "I'm the warrior of love and justice." Well, how does she know how to say any of that?
I don't know. I feel like she's just kind of making it up on the fly or something like that.
Okay, great.
I don't know. Maybe there is a secret.
Me. But yeah, and so great entrance, and then Morgan reveals that because she's drained the energy from these women, that she controls them, and so she sicks them on Usagi, and Usagi's just helpless. Basically, she doesn't know what to do at all, and Luna's got to tell her what to do, which is take off your tiara, and yell, "Moon, Moon, do your thing." She throws the tiara, and this one's easy. I'm assuming that future monsters won't be so easy to defeat, but this one goes down pretty smooth.
Yeah, and she also does meet Tuxedo Mask, who throws a rose.
Oh, right. Yes, at the exact right time, Tuxedo Mask throws a rose and says, "Don't cry."
Gets everybody's attention.
And she keeps crying.
Yeah.
Which turns out to be the deciding factor here, because, again, she's crying, and her gems somehow amplify her crying.
Right, and they're like, "Oh, stop that."
Which makes everybody go, "Please stop crying."
Yeah.
And knocks everybody out so she can throw the old tiara.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know, and you should tell us who created Sailor Moon. We'll talk about that. But is there a connection to Wonder Woman at all? Because Wonder Woman was known to throw a tiara in the day.
That is a really good question. Should we go into a little bit of Sailor Moon backstory real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so known in Japan as Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon, it began on TV Asahi from March 7th, 1992 to February 8th, 1997. It was produced by Toei Animation. It's based on the manga of the same name, written and drawn by Naoko Takeuchi. And that was published from 1991 to 1997.
So this is a quick turnaround for all this.
Yeah. She actually
did she do anything before?
That is a really good question. I will have an answer for you on a later show.
Okay.
She actually produced some of the manga alongside with the anime because
sure, that's a common thing.
She had originally helped write one season of the anime, and it became so popular they're like, "We want to do more of this."
Yeah.
And she was like, and she wasn't sure what she wanted to do. Now,
I don't know why you would know this or if you would know this, but this is like a popular property.
It's one of the most popular in Japan's history.
I know they did Crystal, and I also know that the Japanese are weird because there are some things that they will milk to death, and there are other things that it's like, why didn't they make any more of those?
Right.
And this feels like, I know 200 episodes is a lot, and we're looking down the barrel of 200 episodes.
Yeah.
So, why isn't this still a thing today? How come this just didn't keep going? Like, what is Toei crazy?
That is a really good question. I mean, I think she got to a point where she was ending the manga, and maybe they felt like it was a good enough point to drop off with the anime as well. But they also made a lot of money with merchandising with this show.
But you could continue to make merchandising. Like, does she? How do creators' rights work over there? Like, does she?
I don't honestly know like how much of it she gets from the anime.
Well, we're learning things that we need to learn.
Yeah.
We're learning our unknown unknowns.
Yes.
But it's just weird because you'll get something like Dragon Ball, which is still going.
Right.
And as far as I know, Akira Toriyama has been a part of every reboot, although I think that the last one or two, I think maybe he was not going to be like writing it and just being producing.
Okay, sure.
And I don't know if that's just, well, I mean, it's my thing. So, yeah. So, I don't know. I think there must be, they've got huge corporations like we do that own a lot of properties, but, or like Neon Genesis Evangelion, like they did these new movies and they didn't do them without, can't remember his name now. But like he's involved.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe, or is it like, I'm totally derailing the show.
No, you're fine.
Or is it a commitment to the idea of the auteur? Like, sure, we'd love to make parachute pants, and you saw that video, and chopsticks, and electric cars, all based on Ava merchandise.
Right.
But if we don't have the guy involved... I can't remember his name. I keep wanting to say Yoko Kanno, but Yoko Kanno is the composer who did the music for Cowboy Bebop. So so we'll come back next time, and I'll know the name of the guy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think the reason they decided to do Crystal is because it follows the manga a little bit more closely. So I think that's why they did that, and I'm sure she was involved with that.
How would you describe Just Enough Trope? We are the Just Enough Trope podcast. I'm your host, Ka1iban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikanhana.
Oh no, does this mean they can hear all the things I yell at the TV during Downton Abbey?
Why did you do that?
How do you plead?
Let the game begin. Yeah, check these fresh moves. Oh!
Don't shoot man in face.
This isn't the Save Gotham fundraiser.
It's the Chill Family Reunion.
Master Yoda assigned a Padawan to this bold Jedi.
I think it's pronounced Padawan.
Oh, Padawan, excuse me.
Hey, it's getting late. I think Ralph's going to want his motorcycle back.
Go jerk off the pictures of Jean Grey.
I am freaking getting old.
Yeah, I noticed the life clock was blinking in your hand.
Get out of here, Wilson. Go fight the Teen Titans or something.
I'm unkillable, not unwoundable.
You like Sailor Moon, right? Why don't you sail on this
Oh, wow.
Just Enough Trope. News, reviews, and geek fondue. Every Monday on the Just Enough Trope podcast network.
Loving me never have a say. You so sorry.
What?
Let's get to our segments, shall we? Our first segment is Kiro Miru, which means curiously looking around, Japanese culture in the episode. I looked up jewelry in Japan to see if maybe it was popular with high school girls. I didn't really get a whole lot back, but the series takes place in Tokyo, and there is a wholesale jewelry district in Tokyo called Ochimachi.
Oh.
Or I'm sorry.
Chi-machi.
Okechimachi.
Okay. Chi-machi.
And I guess it goes back to the Edo period, and a lot of not as wealthy, lower ranked samurai live there, and they practice crafts. And one of the crafts,
the Tokyo Diamond District?
Yeah, like one of the crafts they started practicing later, like in like the 1800s, was jewelry making.
Okay.
So if you go there today, I guess supposedly there's over 150 jewelry stores.
If I go there today, will I be attacked by a woman with a broken bottle?
I can't promise that.
It's like a sharp piece of jewelry, or maybe like a counter display is broken and I'm wielding a piece of glass.
Right.
But it's just like out of a bar fight. Like suddenly
I know.
Usagi's attacked by a woman with a broken bottle. Like, come on!
I know. It's like, where did this come from?
I'm getting this diamond.
Am I
not
watching
you.
the same show?
And as far as Japanese culture goes, do kids get $300 allowances?
No, I don't think so.
Because Usagi's like, oh, this is only, what was it, like 30,000 yen? No, I spent all my allowance. How much is your allowance?
I know. They do get a lot for like New Year's, but it's not like that much. So
I guess we don't know when it takes place.
Fair. All right. Moving on. Our next segment is
Maybe in the future these segments would be segmented along
and make
the length of the show.
Oh, and make more sense. I don't know. Itadakimasu with Usagi. What did Usagi eat in this episode? Unfortunately, Usagi did not eat anything in this episode.
Not true.
But she...
Not true.
Not true?
No. She begins to. She
Yes.
eats her bento.
She begins to eat her
outside
bento.
of the principal's office.
Yeah, but she
And
gets
she almost
interrupted.
ate broken glass from a lady who maybe
Fair.
okay, headcanon. She was not shopping for jewelry. She was just getting blitzed at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, and then walked by a jewelry shop where she saw a brawl going on. She's like, "Shh, let's do this."
I'm ready. I like it. The next segment is My Heart is a Kaleidoscope. We're talking about the fashion of Sailor Moon. So in this episode, after they get out of their sailor fuku, Naru is wearing an outfit which I think is a little strange. Maybe it's not that strange, but she's wearing like a long sleeve yellow shirt and like a turquoise skirt that has like a sash or a bow in the back.
Right.
And some tights. And it's a little high-waisted too. It's not what I would call traditional.
That's the noise of you showing
moving.
me on a computer.
Yeah.
No, I remember what it looks like.
Yeah.
Is that it looked to me like stick with me here.
Okay.
But like a character in a show or a movie. I know she's a character in a show or a movie, but I'm just like if you put a bow on her head, she's ready to hang out with the Kiki's Delivery Service or something.
Oh,
like that.
I
Like,
see what you're saying.
Like an outfit, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, she does have a bow in her hair that matches the skirt, so there you go. Do you think it's out there, or do you think it's pretty tame?
I mean, I think it's cute.
Okay.
Is green and orange? Is that her colors? I don't know.
Well, I don't know that she really has colors, you know.
My question was about Yumino.
Yeah.
So his outfit is the sort of what is it, like the narrow jacket type situation?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that a typical school uniform for
yeah,
a boy?
I think so.
I feel like when I watch J dramas, they're all in like short sleeve, Oxfords with like ties and stuff.
Well, I think
So like a winter outfit.
yeah. I was gonna just say I think it changes by the season. So yeah, it would be like a winter fall outfit.
What's up with his eyes? Is this just an abstraction? Like that's saying he's got really thick glasses?
I'm not 100% sure.
Or is he
I've seen.
he is a goofball.
Yeah, I know, right?
it's just like
it's
his
like this is a
goofballness?
goofball. I've seen at least one other character in a Sailor Moon episode who's a minor character who's a woman who has glasses with swirls. So I don't know. It might have just been like an animator's choice.
Yeah,
like
that
these are.
that
These
makes
are
sense.
these are goofballs, or watch out for
These
these
aren't
people.
goofballs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our next segment is Villain Gauge. Rate a baddie 1 to 5 dark stars, 5 being the most wicked.
Boy.
So episode 1, we've got Morga.
Okay.
What would you give her out of 5? 5 being the most wicked.
Nothing to go on at
Yeah.
all. I guess. Well, it is in my hands. I mean, she goes down pretty easy, right?
She does.
It's a useful power to, make other people fight for you.
Yes.
And to be able to control them, but it's limited mostly to middle-aged women and high school girls.
Yeah.
So even if they did get their hands on you, what could they really do?
Right.
They're not trained for combat, no reach, no upper body strength. So not really great. Now, if you found a bunch of guys and you went to like a watch shop or something, hey, this Omega is only $300.
Right.
Maybe you could get a bunch of guys involved. Maybe gems have to be on the watch bands. I'm not really sure how it works, but her sort of gem-based energy draining powers seem kind of limited. Although that head turning, that's good for parties.
Right.
And also for telling people to shut up at the movie theater.
Right.
But I'm probably going to go with a 1 on this. I think we can tap this one. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give her a 3 just because I think she's pretty dang scary for right off the bat.
Yeah,
and
okay.
her neck turning thing is pretty terrifying. And the fact that she was Naru's mom, and except she wasn't Naru's mom,
Right.
I think
She
that
does have
makes her...
shape-shifting abilities.
Yeah. I think that makes her pretty terrifying.
She doesn't really use them before she gets ashed.
No, she does not. Yeah, you think she could
I'm
have
going to
turned
be
into
one
something else.
high school girl's mom,
Right?
and then that's it.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Yeah.
So we are at our wrap up and rating part of the episode.
Okay.
What would you give the episode 1 out of 5 as an episode as a whole?
Again, so hard to know. We'll definitely look back at this rating and shake my head and maybe break a bottle and threaten myself at how uneducated I was. But I would have to go pretty high. And it's mostly because I've actually watched this a couple times now. And it's entertaining every time. It's funny every time. There's a great sense of mystery, like where we're going. And we didn't even talk about Sailor V. I have no idea what's going on with Sailor V. And I can't wait to
talk about Sailor V.
I think that we definitely will have an opportunity to talk about Sailor V as we go.
Yes.
But as far as like, I think it all falls on the skinny shoulders of our hero.
Yes.
Who I love so far. I've made no secret of the fact that I love a good buffoon.
She is that.
And I love, I love superheroes and I love this sort of genre, but I also love, when somebody is gifted with these amazing powers and it doesn't mean anything to them because they're hungry or
or tired.
Or they're just worried about, their math test or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that she succeeds really at this point in spite of herself.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we'll see her take a few more steps in her hero's journey as the show goes on. But yeah, I mean, she's a funny character and I hate the word tomboy.
Yeah.
Although when she was being conceived and animated in the early 90s, I'm sure they thought of it that way. But I like the fact that she is a girl and can be girly, but she will also knee her brother in the face if he doesn't close the door quick enough. And she's slightly selfish.
Yes, she is.
But she's great. So I'm going to give it, I can't remember what the rating was.
1 out of 5, 5 being the best.
Oh, what are we giving it though?
Oh. That is a good point.
We gave it dark stars before.
So I wanted to come up with something, but I want it to be something that goes through the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, because I was thinking tiaras, but I think that only goes for like the first season or something like that.
No wonder you can't remember what she says. Like roses, or is that too bachelor?
I like roses though, because that's Tuxedo Mask. So let's do that.
All right,
let's do 1 out of 5 roses, 5 being the best.
And we're only at 1 to 5. Okay, that makes sense. It's clean. I'm gonna give it 4. I'm gonna give it 4 roses out of 5 roses.
I actually
one left to throw at a lady with a broken bottle who's rushing at me.
I actually am going to completely agree with you on this one and also give it 4. I think it's a fantastic opening to this character and this world. We've learned so much. There's packed a lot in to this episode. We meet Luna, who's a freaking talking cat, who's awesome. We meet Tuxedo Mask, who throws roses.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
What is not to love?
I have no idea where we're going.
And like you said,
I want to take the journey.
Right. Like you said, it's also really funny. Like, and that's one thing that like I get out of rewatching it. It's like, younger self thought this was funny, but present self thinks this is funny too. So, 4 roses for me as well. And then I thought to close out the episode before we sign off and say what's coming up next, I thought we could come up with an English title.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. So what are the main elements here? Talking cat.
Magical person.
Tiara makeup.
Right.
Crazed lady with a bottle.
Rose
throwing. Yeah. Not doing so well on a test, but still doing really well.
Right.
And then what defines English, if the audience doesn't know, is like a sort of
broken
language, broken English translation of
not
something.
quite making sense.
But you think if somebody says something to you in Spanish and you don't quite get it, you would get close. But
yes,
broken Japanese, or that is to say like a Japanese person trying to make something in English or just picking words at random, it seems to go so specifically in a certain direction.
it does.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just there's a difference in like the expression between Japanese and English that it doesn't just get close. Like you end up somewhere where you're like, why is this? Why did this happen?
Right.
So let's see. All right. In the future, I'll be prepared for this. But
I had something, but
okay.
I think it kind of sounds more like dog than, like dog.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Than like
you mean Doge?
English. Yes.
Yeah.
So I wrote magical is born, much wow. That's what I wrote.
That makes sense. What if mine was like a headline for
Sure.
like a newscast or a newspaper?
Yeah.
Hungry girl almost murdered in a jewelry store riot.
I think that sounds pretty good.
Film at 11.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, coming up on Sailor Noob, next episode, we are talking about episode number 2. That's Oshioki Yo, Urani House wa Yoma no Yakata in Japanese, or Punishment Awaits, The House of Fortune is the Monster Mansion, is the English translation, and there is no English title because it was not included in the original dub.
Right. So this is the real deal.
It is the real deal.
Too hot for TV.
That's right.
No deke on this one.
You got it. Don't deke
put your
around.
Dekes away.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's it for our show this week. In the Name of the Moon, we'll be punishing you next week with another episode of Sailor Noob.
Moonlight.
Midnight.
Midnight.